times of conflict, not all fighting is done with artillery. Unrest is often reflected in art, and that theme is being explored in the New England Conservatory Music Festival dubbed Truth to Power. Last month, the Conservatory presented Joseph Schwanter's New Morning for the World, based on the words of Martin Luther King Jr. and read here by Governor Deval Patrick.
I know some of you are asking, how long will it take? I come to say to you, however difficult the moment, however frustrating the hour, it will not be long, because truth pressed to earth will rise again.
All right, for more on the NEC Festival, I'm joined by WGBH Arts Editor Jared Bowen. So I can't say the first thing that comes to mind when you talk about resistance fighting is music. But
well, that's why I think this is such a great festival, and it's been going for the better part of this whole entire season now. And what it does is it takes music and it puts it into context, especially for the students at NEC, because a lot of them don't realize. I think a lot of us adults don't realize the context and where music has come from. That composers weren't necessarily writing music just for the sake of us to listen to in these great concert halls, but there is often something behind it. And so that's why they do this full spectrum of work. But they went back and they really wanted to look, as they were programming this, what composers were thinking in times of conflict and war, regime change. So it's sort of all-encompassing. So
it actually spans several centuries, and it looks at classical music, too. How so?
Well, that's what I was particularly struck by, because you don't necessarily think of Mozart and Beethoven, two people who are absolutely included in this festival, as people who were storming the gates of power, which is how they've billed this festival, the sort of the theme of this festival. But you have to remember that these composers are, of course, contemporary in their day as well. I talked to NEC President Tony Woodcock about classical music and its use in this Truth to Power festival.
Thing when the Berlin Wall came down, Bernstein was in there with his orchestra. What did he choose to play? He chose to play the last movement of the Ninth Symphony, with a slight change in the words. I seem to remember. But he did that because it is a contemporary piece. It speaks to the affirmation of mankind, and it speaks to our greatest ideals. And it was that triumphant sound that I think was the inspiration for the success of what was happening at that time.
So it's still used today, which is the great thing. I mean, I was actually struck by this just last year when the Afghan Youth Orchestra was here, and they were touring the United States. And again, this is something that they look at, that one of the biggest threats when there is some level of regime change is the arts, because that does carry a lot of power. It's something that resonates with people universally. And so you're really taking liberty down, and you're taking people down when you cut them at their heart, which is the arts. And in Afghanistan, they cut out music entirely. And so now it has sprung back up in the strongest form.
And of course, some generations of pop music have done that too. You know, the Beatles, Rolling Stones. But I'm trying to think some of the contemporary stuff. You know, like where Alan Thicke might fit in. Robin Thicke, I mean, might fit in.
Well, even we're seeing it right now with Pussy Riot in Russia, of course, and what's happening, what they're trying to do. And I should mention that this concert continues this week, and they're looking. It's a little bit more sedate this week. They're looking at how composers have been revolutionary just in terms of music. What Wagner did for harmony, what Gershwin did for jazz.
All right, sounds good. The NEC Festival. Thanks so much, Jared.